Yeah, it's always nice to get sweetgrass, for sure. Thank our elders for the pipe ceremony this morning. Our chiefs, our counselors, our technicians, our Lokamak who are here, our Kokums, thank you for being here. To each and every one of you, the organizers for putting this on. I mean, it's absolutely important. Just a show of hands. I'm gonna ask a nice, healthy challenge. How many of us drink coffee and Pepsi, or coffee and pop? Just a show of hands.
Not me. Not me. Hold on, I have a slurp here.
Pretty much all of us. You know what? Try for 2 weeks. Try your hardest for 2 weeks to drink water every day, and you'll feel different. You'll feel different. You'll see that you sleep better. You see that your body fluids are better. I tried it for last year. I lasted 6 months as a New Year's resolution. 6 months I drank water every day. Felt pretty good. So that's the first test, right? We're all here for water. The safety and cleanliness of water. So we have to find it in ourselves to live up to that too. So try it out for 2 weeks, 7 days or whatever. Give it a shot. You'll see how you feel. Val Desjardins, where's that Coco? You have some really good words. I want to acknowledge you for your knowledge and your advice on how we, as First Nations and others, can work together to ensure the quality of water. It was at a point where, can you remember as young boys, young men and girls, when there'd be a wicked downpour from the skies, and we'd run out and our mouth would be open in the air? That's how clean new water used to be. When I go hunting with my mushroom, and we didn't have water, but he'd grab water from the ditch, because that's how clean it was. And we drank it. When we drank it, and you don't find that nowadays. You're right, Val. Many of us will perish if we don't take some serious action. The pipeline spill in near North Battleford, with industry, our involvement, our participation, and we're going to consistently say we have to be involved. We must be involved when these devastating fiascos, if you want to call it, happen. But more importantly, at what cost? What cost? How many more of these are going to happen until we finally realize we're losing our loved ones? And it's not just diabetes. It's a whole slew of diseases. The elders say there's cancer in every one of us, but there's something in the air and in the water and the foods which will trigger that cancer to come into us. This is what our elders say. And the water has a significant contributor to that, to the diseases. And currently, I'm just going to give you some highlights here, some numbers on where serious investment has to happen for our First Nation water plants as compared to the towns and city water plants. And this is in 2003. Our numbers have grown significantly since 2003. We're the fastest growing demographic. I have to say this, about 3 weeks ago there was an announcement from the federal government, we're investing in housing. We're gonna do good for First Nations people. We're investing homes to the communities. So we were waiting in anticipation for the number, fingers crossed, hoping for the best, because our folks sure need housing. The number 300 came. 300 homes across Canada for 634 First Nations. That's only half a house each for each community. Here in our province, we need 10,000 homes in our First Nations to keep up the pace with the fastest growing population. It's about investment, you know, investment in housing, investing in safe drinking water. That's what it's about. It's about investment to the quality of lives so you know, that our future generations can enjoy what we had, or what little we had, what little we have now. That's what it's about. I want to thank our chiefs and our counselors and everybody else, the technicians, because we need your advice, we need your knowledge and your direction to make our case as strong as possible when putting the pressure on federal government on safe drinking water. In budget 2003, see, there are 5 key areas under the First Nation Water and Waste Action Plan. They are infrastructure investments, operations and maintenance, training, monitoring and standards, which means First Nations have to fund all of these 5 areas with this was in 2010 in budget 2010. All of these areas had to be funded by First Nations with a meager $165 million for all 634 communities. Basically running our First Nations into a deficit. Then you got government saying, oh, the Indians can't spend their money. They're misspending. They're not accountable. Well, you've got to work with what you got. And it's not just water. It's housing, it's education. We certainly need a lot of support in what we can do together. And this is one of the key priorities, safe drinking water. In budget 2006, the federal government committed $60 million over 2 years to support the plan of action for drinking water in First Nation communities. In budget 2008, an additional $330 million over 2 years was committed for the First Nations Water and Waste Water Action Plan to improve access to safe drinking water on reserves. In 2009, $165 million was committed to build or upgrade 18 water and wastewater infrastructure projects on reserve. Of course, in 2010, $330 million over 2 years was committed to continue the First Nations Water and Wastewater Action Plan to once again improve access to safe drinking water on reserves. Based on these figures alone, the federal government has spent under $1.5 billion since 2003. In the 2011 alternative federal budget, the Council of Canadians called for $1 billion to build, upgrade, and maintain water and wastewater infrastructure in First Nation communities. This hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting. Our people are dying because we have unsafe drinking water, because the quality of our homes are so poorly built that our people are getting diseases from the mold, the asbestos. My own 2 sons have developed asthma because there's mold in our home on the reserve. And it's the same with many of our communities out there. It's very frustrating and it hurts, you know. It hurts our people, it hurts our chief and councils that not enough is happening from the federal investment. Sure, there was an 8.6 billion investment. We're thankful for that. We're thankful for that, but we're asking for implementation as soon as possible. So what we're suggesting, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but some of the technicians have provided this input to some of our folks. Kevin McLeod, works for the FSIN. So we need funding for operators, funding for maintenance. We need funding for obsolete designs, certifying plants. That's what has to happen. But it takes investment. And that's where the political side comes in, from our chiefs and councils, our elders. Currently, just the last couple of days, there was a resolution passed at the FSIN Assembly calling for our own environmental protection legislation. Protection of our lands and waters, for which this resolution will go to the AFN. I believe, we're being told that the PM will be there and he will receive a copy of this, of what we as First Nations are requiring and recommending. Not for us, but for our little ones, the children, the grandchildren, and the next generations that are coming behind us. For those ones. That's what we do. We're telling the government to listen to our experts when they review the Safe Drinking Water Act. Our experts are each and every one of you who are here today, who inform your chief and council, this is what's required in Muskowhegan, or this is what needs to happen in Pasqua. This is what has to happen in CTK. We can go beyond provincial regulators. We have to go beyond the provincial regulators. You know that as well as I do. We're bound to a certain extent with provincial regulators. So that's one of the items that we're certainly pressuring for. Protect the source water for future generations, as Val and many others have mentioned, and will stand by. We stand by and support that statement as well. We can address this through an Environmental Protection Act. Not can, we will. If it falls on deaf ears from the government, that's their choice. But the onus is on them to invest it sooner rather than later. The elders say as well, some of the problems that are directly impacted to our youth has to do with the water. It affects our chemical balances when we drink unsafe drinking water. And our youth are part of it. There is spirits in the water. There are spirits in the water, and the elders say, when there's bad water going into our system, it affects our people. You know, Automantic, we come here to listen and learn. We at the FSIN are certainly no experts. We don't profess to be any smarter or better than anybody here or anybody out there. We're just a voice and the messengers to the government. If you have a strong idea or direction, let us know. Send a fax, send a text. My number is 230-8900. Let us know. Let us know what we're missing and how we can improve. We need the advice from each and every one of you. That's what it takes. We bring accessibility to the chief and councils. So we're here to do what we can together, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take togetherness to to alleviate and address and combat the safe drinking water issue. Now, I believe Val said this, but you know, each and every one of us were born into water in the wombs of our mothers. Every one of us. So to what extent, you know, and we have some high-level meetings coming up with some industry presidents. To what extent? How long will you continue to build and do your excavating and exploration of resources in the ground till it's too late? Our industry has to really be fully involved with what we're doing as technicians and First Nation leaders, elders, and youth. I want to thank Mr. Desjardins for inviting me, you know, to say a few words. Kevin McLeod from FSI and staff, thank you for being here. And to all our people that are here today, and thank you, we're all here for a reason. We all have one goal to work together for safe drinking water. Now we go the political avenue, we go the legal avenue. Do we do the peaceful protesting? Sooner or later we're going to have to go there. We have to do something. Our children, grandchildren, and our Chapana depend on it. Those of you that are well aware, just yesterday or last night, the DAPL in North Dakota, you know, they're really enforcing and they're getting really aggressive with our peaceful protesters. When all they want to do is protect their lands and waters for future generations. Industry's not listening to them. So to what extent, Dave? Thank you for listening to me, and to the elders once again, thank you for the pipe ceremony. We're here to stand in solidarity for safe drinking water, so our future generations can, must, and will enjoy it. Ixin Wagmantik,